Personal story segment tonight. We were somewhat surprised that CNN took an aggressive anti-Tea Party posture last week. That network is left-leaning, but in the past it has tried to be responsible while covering hard news. But in the case of the Tea Parties, we heard this.
I think you get the general tenor of this. It's anti-government, anti-CNN, since this is highly promoted by the right-wing conservative network Fox.
Republicans have got away. They still haven't found their voice, Anderson. They're still, this happens to a minority party after it's lost a couple of bad elections, but they're searching for their voice.
It's hard to talk when you're teabagging.
What's disturbing about some of these protests and some of the people at these protests is this edge of anger at the government. There is a real hostility that is not just politics as usual among some of these people.
All right, joining us from Toronto, Canada, former CNN anchor Lynn Russell, who worked for CNN for 18 years. Were you surprised? Well, you know, you're up in Toronto, but you get you get Fox and CNN and NBC. And were you surprised at the tone of the CNN coverage on the Tea Parties?
I was surprised. I did not see it live, her story. I'm deeply offended by the approach that she took. I'm shocked.
You're talking about Miss Rogen.
I'm furious. Absolutely. That's that's the one I saw, and it angers me so, because as someone who's tried for years and years, and whose colleagues have tried for years and years to be objective journalists, she violated the first rule, which is objectivity.
Well, maybe she just made a mistake, and I think the woman has been, you know, roundly criticized now for 2 weeks. So, you know, I'm not going to pile on. Maybe she just had a bad day, made a mistake. But the overall tone...
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, I'm sorry. You know, we've all had bad days. I've been out there. I've been shot at when I was reporting, and shot at, by the way, by a guy who was running for judge in Texas. I didn't turn around and go after him. And if, by the way, he had come up to me and I'd asked him a question, I would have at least let him answer it. So, no, that doesn't wash with me. Go ahead.
So what do you think it is, then? Were the CNN managers, the news managers, telling their reporters and their commentators to slam the Tea Party protesters?
Oh, now, see, I wasn't there. We weren't there, right, Bill? I mean, we don't know that. I don't know why she went out there and did that. For all I know, her agent said to her, go out there and be forceful. Because I'm not familiar with her reporting. I just know that if you can't do it objectively, then don't do it. Give the story to somebody else. She made herself the story, and she drew these wild conclusions about being anti-CNN, the crowds being anti-CNN and anti-government. And let me just say that harkens back to the past few years, where if you didn't support the administration, you were called unpatriotic, which I resented very much.
Okay,
so,
and the right wing did some of that, but not too much on television.
A lot of it.
Yeah, but it was more on the radio, not too much in the repertorial range. We were watching that closely. Now, when you were...
You're talking about the media, okay.
Yeah, but see, there's a delineation between hard news reporting, and that's what caught our attention at CNN, because when you were there, and I would say most of the time, to be fair, up until now, it's not, NBC is compromised, and we've gone over that a million times, but CNN, yeah, it's left-leaning, the culture's left, there's no doubt, but they try still to this day, I think, to give you information that's accurate, whereas NBC doesn't. So we were surprised on the Tea Party thing, which was a breaking news story that day, that they would go out and force CNN and try to disparage it. You know, why would you want to do that?
Well, don't assume that it was, you know, the result of a backroom a meeting.
I'm
that anybody
I'm trying to find out why. I'm not assuming anything.
Maybe she just did a really stupid and idiotic thing.
But
and I'll tell you one thing: it's way too late to apologize. She needs to go do something else for a living.
Well, I wouldn't fire her though. But it's not. It wasn't just fire her. It wasn't just her. It was the tone of the whole reportage all day long. And that's
inappropriate. That's inappropriate. It's inappropriate for a news organization to take a stand like that. Any news organization, a stand in either direction.
Well, that gives me my opening for your next question. You work for the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, for almost 2 years. And that's a notoriously left-wing outfit, is it not?
That's what I heard when I went in. I didn't see it in the beginning, but I have to tell you that I was on the air the day in September of 2006 when there was an American-Canadian friendly fire accident. It was a terrible thing, and a member of the Canadian Forces was killed. Keep in mind, I've been doing Canadian repatriation ceremonies and doing them very well and with a great deal of respect. However, I was the most experienced person there when this story broke, and I was pulled as an American citizen. They didn't say it, but I know why. I was pulled off the air while 3 Canadians were contacted, one of them with virtually no experience, until they found somebody to do the story.
Well,
so there you are. Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
Yeah. Well, the CBC, you know, for our reportage, government-funded news organization, very, very left-wing. Ms. Russell, thanks very much. We appreciate you coming on the program. Plenty more ahead.